Hello everyone, my name is Keone, and in this video I'm going to tell you all about our motivations and how knowing what fuels our motivations and how they work will help you change your life. So right off the bat, I'm going to tell you that motivations are short-lived. They just are. Motivations on their own are things that make it really hard to stay invested in something in the long run. And there's a very peculiar reason why that is. There's a special quote. Before I get into anything else, there's a quote in a book called Man's Search for Meaning, which is written by psy, uh, a psychological doctor. His name is Viktor Frankl, and he was, or so the book is about his experiences and how they uniquely affected him and the other people around him at, while he was a prisoner in concentration camps during World War II. So it's a tough read. It's very emotional and it has a lot of very heavy experiences. But the purpose of the book is to explore the mind. But one of the quotes that he says is that man can, or I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but man can get through any, or if a man knows why he is doing something, he can almost always get through anyhow. Um, so I'll get back to that quote in a minute because that really explains that's the key. You'll see in a minute once I start to explain. So before anything else, I'm going to switch over to a. This is a picture, I guess. I mean, obviously, but it's the definition of motivation. If we look, it says the reasons or the reason or reasons one has for acting or behaving in a particular way, which we all kind of knew that. But the thing I wanted to point out is the second little bullet point here. It says the general desire or willingness of someone to do something. There's two particular words I want to point out in this. If you look it up on Google, you'll find this exact same thing. Uh, but I'm going to then, we're going to go over to this thing. This is called the spectrum, or the vibrational spectrum of emotion, or the scale of consciousness. And it basically shows how, like, where on a scale of positive and negative all of our emotions feel. And if you remember in this definition, I mean, I guess you don't really have to remember it very hard, but there's two things in particular that it said. The first one is desire, which is right here, way down here on the spectrum. And the second one is willingness. Now, the reason, I mean, it's not bad to have desire and willingness. In fact, uh, those are emotions that get us to do things, you know. But with just an initial desire, you can say, I desire for things to be a certain way all you want. But that does not mean that without action or without, um, you know, taking raising your vibration, doing all sorts of, there's a lot of different things you can do. But without doing those things, it just remains as a desire. You know, I could say, I desire to go get food, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to. I mean, yeah, I'm hungry, but am I just going to physically get up out of this video and go get food? No, because it's just a desire at that point. It hasn't developed into anything further than that until I take action. So in initial understanding, it is okay to have desire. It's okay to be in a willingness state. Now, the difference between willingness and desire is that desire means you like you crave it, like, oh, I desire to have this. I desire to be in a relationship or have my dream job. I desire it so bad. I want it. You know, I want it so bad. And a willingness is kind of the same thing where it's like, I'm willing to do what it takes to get there. Well, good. I'm glad you're willing to. Are you going to? You know, it it's those are the differences. So desire is saying like, I want it, I want it, I want it. Willingness is like, I'm willing to do, I'm ready to do what I need to. But both emotions require action for them to fully fulfill the purpose of you feeling them, if that makes any sense. Uh, so the idea then is that you want to understand, like, okay, so if all I have to do is take action, then why is motivation so fleeting? Well, we all have desires, and those desires change as life goes on. We have certain experiences. Uh, and this is where the knowing why you're doing it, as opposed to how you're doing it, comes into play. Because you have the desire, you have the willingness, you know, and it just sticks around for a little bit. But let's say, for example, you are trying to get to know somebody that you're interested in dating. You go up and you have this desire, you're like, they're so cool and I want to go talk to them. I want to get to know them. But if you don't actually take action, then you're never going to get to know this person because, I mean, there's a likelihood that they'll come talk to you, but that's almost like waiting for the grass to grow, you know? It's well, I guess that's a poor analogy. It's more like waiting for the lights to turn on, but not flipping the switch. It's the most likely thing that could happen is that somebody else walks into the room and turns it on. But it's just like you're relying on somebody else to fulfill something that you can do. So then the question is like, you have this desire to go talk to this person, right? And you're like, I just want to. And so you go do it, and you have a good conversation, and then you're like, okay, that went well. Maybe I can wait for the next time. And then your motivation just kind of drops off. Maybe you get super busy with work, or like something just happens in your life that makes it so it's not one of your main priorities talking to this person anymore. So then your motivation drops, and it goes. You go back to that desire, but initially you're just like, okay, uh, I don't feel motivated anymore. Like maybe you fell out of contact with this person, and you might the what I'm getting at is that motivation is fleeting unless you apply the why instead of the how. And the reason why this is important is because before anything else, all of our motivations come from the want to feel something, because we experience spiritually before we experience physically. Um, which means basically that we feel before we physically see it, which sounds a little bit backwards. Usually you say like, okay, first I need to have this, and then I can do this, and then I can feel love, or something like first I need to be in a relationship and then I can feel love. But it's backwards, because you're never going to find a relationship if you don't love yourself. It's like that analogy where it's like, say you see somebody who needs, or they're like in need of food, but you yourself, you don't have any more than $5. So should you go to this person who also needs food, hand them your $5? That means that you can't eat. You can't sustain or influence, or even you can't get anything from somebody else or provide anything to anybody else unless you first have it. But there's another key to that, which is to realize that we have all of the things that we need because we're whole and complete. We just are taught that we're not by society's standards. So the reason why the quote that says, "As long as we know the why, we can get through almost anyhow," how that matters is because, excuse me, if you realize that your motivation is based on the want to feel something. So say you want to be in a relationship and it's like, I really want to be with this girl, or actually that's you just really want to be with this person that you're really interested in. And it's kind of tough, you're trying to get in communication with them. There's always that uncertainty of like, do they like me back? Is it unrequited? I don't know. There's just that level of uncertainty. And after a little while, depending on who it is or what things happen, you might lose motivation. You might say like, man, this is too hard. They're not getting back to me. They're not doing this. It's just too much. But you might still have that inner desire, that drive to still be around them. So the key is to sit down and think like, why do I care so much? Why do I care about knowing this person? Is it because of some feeling that they give me? Is it because I feel like I've been told that this person's good for me? You know, why is it that I want to do it? What is the initial thing I want to feel? Usually it's like love, or I mean, sometimes it's desire, or I want to feel neutral. This person makes me feel accepted, you know. This person makes me feel peaceful. And realize that those motivations, that need or that desire, I guess, or that drive to feel that emotion is the why. So then you approach the situation, things aren't going the right way. They're like, how come this is happening this way? How come there's never enough time? How come, you know, how come? And it just is like, it takes away your motivation. You're like, I don't want to do this anymore, man. I don't want to go and try and do these things because I just, it's not working out. How come? But if you look and you step back and you say, why am I doing it? Is that still something that's important enough to me to keep doing it? Why? And so then suddenly you're focused on why you want to do it. It's like the inner fire is being reignited. It's just, you know, inner fire is reignited. You are completely in the zone. You're like, I'm going to do this. Why? Because this is what I want. This is why I'm doing it. And you completely forget about the hows. You forget about like, how come, you know, because you're so focused on like, this is why I'm doing it and I'm going to get it. Another big part of this is also having the self-respect to say that, you know, to say like, I'm going to get what I want because I matter, because you do matter, first of all. Or I guess that's just another point of this video is I wanted to say that you matter. Your well-being matters. Who you are matters. Your passions, your dreams, the things that you are aspiring to be, those matter. Don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. And because they matter, you can look at the whys and get through the hows. So with that, I hope that this information really helps drive home the point of like, it's okay to have motivations, to have the desire, have willingness, take action and do it knowing why and keep why in mind. And I guarantee you, if you focus on the why you're doing it rather than how it's going to happen, then it will just happen. It will, like I said, the inner fire will be reignited. And you'll see that things will get better. 100%. It will change your life. So with that, I hope you have a good rest of your day, whatever interval that might be, and I'll see you next time.